I thought that Captain Jack Sparrow was gonna serve some Atlantean seafood for the old pirates this morning. I had my knife and fork ready. I was even singing the world famous sea shanty. Arr matey, you'll all remember that this was the day you almost cancelled JD. So imagine my shock when I read that Hollywood woman lies during divorce case and gets away with it. And in more important news, water is wet. Anyway, look, the last time I was this early, AH's rock hard turd was still on JD's bed. I mean, this is exactly the kind of girl your mother warned you not to marry. But let's be honest here, lads. 99% of you would still most likely clap her cheeks. And what I just said right there is 100% projection because my is so confused right now. Anyway, back on topic. I thought maybe this time JD would be able to get a judge that doesn't go out to dinner with AH's legal team. Yeah, I know that was very optimistic, but I want to make something crystal clear to all of my American viewers before we get started today. The reason why British judges wear that ridiculous wig is because they all have syphilis and their hair fell out. Yep, that is 100% irrefutable and factual, but I thought I would tell you a secret that is even more damaging. Something nobody wants you to know, and that secret is that in the UK, something called the Old Boys Club, judges who are in the same secret handshake societies. When nefarious activities take place, JD never stood a chance, especially in the UK. I might get in trouble for exposing this, but who gives a f? The judges over here in the UK always protect fellow judges before the truth. They don't want to set a precedent for a judge's ruling to be proven wrong because after all, ladies and gentlemen, they are judges themselves. The British courts are doubling down on its decision to save face. They certainly don't want any of their previous rulings appealed and overturned. To reverse a previous ruling is to admit that they're wrong. By granting appeals like this one, it throws the whole judicial system into question. But what probably scares them the most is that they don't want their incestuous, corrupt dealings to be exposed, which is ironically happening anyway because of how insanely silly this kangaroo court is. But look, after this new ruling, however, it shows that AH's frequent use of knee pads to convince so many more people this time is working, because the British justice system just can't redeem itself. I didn't have much hope because it's corrupt to the core. That is greedy politicians for you, a decision made on a technicality despite a mountain of evidence on the contrary. We absolutely live in a clown world. Remember that it was the UK's legal system where a comedian by the name Count Dankula was fined for a bad joke. A joke that the court couldn't find a single person who got offended by it. So what does the court do? They imagine their complainants. Lord Justice Underhill said, "We do not accept that there is any ground for believing that the judge may have been influenced by any general perception, as Caldecott relies on. In the first place, he does not refer to a charitable donation at all in the context of his central findings. On the contrary, he only mentions it in a very particular context and after he had already reached in his conclusions in relation to the 14 incidents." Underhill concluded in his ruling by saying, "We refuse JD's application to admit further evidence in support of his proposed appeal, and we conclude that the appeal has no real prospect of success and there is no other compelling reason for it to be seen. Therefore, we accordingly refuse permission to appeal." You know, let's see if we can list all the crimes AH is guilty of. She cut off JD's finger, she's lied in court, she's coerced witnesses and faked evidence. If that was you or me, they'd throw us in a hole and throw away the hole. Let's just look at the tampering evidence charge because this can literally ruin people's lives. It could lead to the wrong person going to jail. It could lead to a person paying 18 years of child support when they're not the father. Evidence tampering is not just lying, it's rooted in evil. Just imagine if the roles were reversed, it would be 20 years minimum, but yeah, total equality. But JD's UK lawyer Joe Rich of Schilling Partners said the evidence presented at last week's hearing further demonstrates that there are clear and objective reasons to seriously question the decision reached by the UK court. And people wonder why we just just don't trust the justice system anymore, no matter if it's in the UK, the US, or any other country that has a court system, because it's run by humans after all. All this does is further damage people's faith in the justice system. What a joke! Part of JD's argument relied on further evidence that AH had not yet been given most of the $7 million she received in her divorce settlement, which she said she was donating to charity. And by the way, I am so sick of the whole, I need X amount of money for the life I've been accustomed to. That is the most entitled thing ever. AH is already making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. How is she not financially dependent at this point? Maybe all the money is going to blow instead of the charity. Anyway, at last week's hearing, JD's barrister, Andrew Calcott, said the claim was calculated and a manipulative lie, which gave AH a considerable boost to her credibility as a person and tipped the scale against JD from the very beginning. See, AH was hoping that everybody would forget that she said she's giving the money all away. Well, Pepperidge Farm remembers. She literally stole from cancer babies. Cancer babies, and the big media is still protecting her. If that doesn't make your stomach turn, then nothing will. Now let's do a little bit of role play. AH said to the charities and the media that I'm donating millions of dollars, and the charities were like, where's the millions of dollars, AH? And she's like, oh, I donated anonymously so you wouldn't know it's me. Now, there's a special place in hell for people who promise to donate to a children's hospital and then don't follow through. Now, the reason why JD's lawyers really wanted this appeal to go through is because the previous corrupt judge, I think his name was Justice Nicole, he said that giving the money away to charity was one of the reasons they did not in fact think AH was a gold digger as JD implied. He literally said that he believed AH's case to be true due to her quality as a person, specifically citing her donating money to charity to prove her character. So if JD got this appeal to go through, that would put AH's entire legal case into question. So not only was the judge's statement on her not being a gold digger completely false, it still wouldn't have mattered because all of his buddies would have dismissed the case appeal anyway. This judge, Justice Nicole, had a direct personal conflict of interest and should have been removed from the trial to begin with. To say that JD got an unfair trial is a massive understatement, but I could see the overweight mouth-breathing simp comments right now. But Mannix, she's such a queen. She'd never lie about that kind of stuff. Yeah, okay. One thing that pisses me off is when people feel the obligation to say they were both wrong, even when there's damaging evidence is displayed against a female, but yet no such disclaimer is ever uttered. When that very same evidence is displayed regarding the male. I mean, that is feminist conditioning over the last 60 years for ya. Just because she's a woman and just because she's fake crying doesn't mean she doesn't have skeletons in her closet. But at least I can take solace in knowing her reputation among moviegoers, actors and directors will never recover. It's time to find a different career, and on that bombshell, Mannix fade out.